Right, Cloud9 has made a massive losers bracket run after underperforming very heavily in the group phase, going 1-3. They found themselves having a very tough run, an exhausting run that challenged their stamina, and now they find themselves playing against our CWL Stage 1 victors in the name of Splyce, one of the strongest European rosters we've had to offer in the Call of Duty World League for some time now.
By no mean a beating, but Cloud9 just every time just seemed to have that edge kind of coming over the likes of the guys on EG. But of course, take a look at the bottom of the bracket as well. Splyce just hot off a victory versus the guys over on Enigma 6, who actually got a pretty nice upset versus the guys on Optic Gaming, winning that one in the Game 5, which I know you actually casted that one as well. Right. So if we know anything, pretty impressive victories from both of these squads. Splyce, top team from Europe, Cloud9 looking to try and make their case as a top team from North America. It should be a very interesting match as we load in here toward our first one. It's going to be Retaliation Hardpoint.
Something else I got to point out here for the Cloud9 roster. I mean, Eggs has been looking for a tournament like this for some time now. Finding the roster changes of bringing on Priest and Exotic has brought new life to this Cloud9 roster. They feel as though they've improved match after match throughout this tournament. Priest is definitely proving himself amongst the pro teams. I mean, in their previous matchup, the three young evil geniuses were nameless, had a lot of negative things to say about Cloud9 online, so that has to feel good, and they're going into this series with that on their backs.
There indeed, shots already being exchanged as time starting to pop up, as of course Bridge will be our first hard point to be looking at. Zero exchanging some shots from afar with that NV4 in hand, but Cloud9 is the team currently getting the points on the board as they've just got over the 12-point mark.
So Priest opens up with some positioning with his NV4 on the side of Bridge. Gets a little bit of damage, used as a great zoning tool, but in the end, Splyce is still able to bounce back to find some time on the board. Cloud9 now spawning up from Cathedral is actually sending 3 of their 4 players straight through Bridge. And it looks like they're going to opt to send the 4th player there as well. Straight into the gunfire of Mad Cat and Zero. They don't stand a chance. Excellent shots down there by the team. A great team shot to keep Cloud9 on their back foot.
And Splyce showing their aggression right now. Zero doing a great job. Jerd as well. Currently both on a 2 spree. Those quickly end, but however, they do a great job at holding down the last few seconds. The NV4 is coming out to play. Mad Cat and Bance combining for a few, and it looks like that rotation toward lower street is also now going to be won by Splyce.
Bance in a solid position, expecting players to come from Market, but it seems as though most of Cloud9 will be coming in from the hotel section of the map. Cloud9 does not have very good presence around Plat here. You can see Bance trying to make a difference after they lose Jerd, but the Cloud9 players are flying out and the aggression is on. The pressure is up. Bance, though, still stays alive throughout it all with great support from Zero and Mad Cat as he plays his life.
I want to know really quickly, obviously it is working out for the side of Splyce right now, up 54-14, but currently we see Splyce rocking 3 NV4s. I want to know, in your opinion, Fox, how does it actually work an advantage for them? Do you think it's a smart strategy to have for this squad moving forward?
Keeping these players at the distance is something that the NV4 is great at, but when you're in a situation like this where they can come flooding out of platform here from hotel, you're going to want someone like Jerd to open things up with that multi-kill. The K-Bar being such a massive threat, both close range and mid-range, and that just kind of answers your question there, Landon. Yes, the NV4's help, but the K-Bar still has its place.
Indeed it does, and of course rotation now coming in. Cloud9 finally able to get some time off of that first hill. Nearly perfectly held bike street there coming in from the side of Splyce, but of course rotation coming in toward Cathedral, and this is when we start to see the money hills come into place, and Cloud9 banking off of that opportunity. We'll see how Splyce looks to try and retake. Jerd, like we said, that K-bar in hand. Just trying to find that first blood, trying to find a piece into the setup. Actually, a few start to trade. Jerd and Mad Cat responding for a few. Jerd trying to find the third in the setup. That's actually going to be a kill going down on Assault. A huge break, and now it's all going to be left up to Priest trying to stay alive before I can even switch over to him. He drops as well. A successful break coming in from the boys on Splyce.
King Jerd for these last 2 hills has been a massive threat and thorn in the side for Cloud9. Splyce doing all they can here to hold the remaining time of that hill, but Cloud9 pours straight through, takes it right back, and they're still fighting it though, but you can see with Cloud9 outnumbering them, Splyce realizes they need to get over to Broken as quickly as possible. That bike path spawn spells trouble because they can be pinched from 2 different sides on their way to this part of the map.
Geez, rotation coming in now toward destroyed building. Cloud9 building back a little bit of that deficit. Priest, of course, being here early on the rotation, trying to bank his team, to buy actually his team some time as 3 do fall. Assault is not going to be in a position to trade quickly. as he's going to have to wait for his teammates to get a little bit more support coming down from that bridge. But Splyce getting closer toward that 100-point mark, doing a great job at locking things down. And the one reason why they're doing such a good, or having such success, is because of Jerd's early fantastic start, 10-5 for him, and he's about to make it 11-5 potentially. And there it is. He's not missing right now. Has to pull out his fist just for good measure, as his teammates are going to pick those up as well. Splyce looked to be having some early success, and that's all due to the nice plays of both him and Madcat.
Double positive with the most hill time in the lobby. Jerd is contributing quite a bit to this Splyce possibility of a victory here against Cloud9. We're getting towards the end of this first rotation, though. There's still a bit of hard point to be played and enough time for Cloud9 to come back, but this is a terrible deficit to work with, especially with Zero shooting like that, flying straight up into bedroom for the close-range double kill with the NV4, and that gives them even more presence around this hotel hallway, and they get the initial time.
Indeed, this is going to be some sporadic time you most likely think when it comes in a hotel hallway, but Cloud9 playing this slow, just trying to work every angle. They're almost acting like this is a search and destroy round by how slow they're trying to take this one, but First Blood trying to make those come, trying to break the setup of Splyce, but that's not happening at all. 3 do drop, and Priesta now left toward the back to wait for his squad. They're going to have to try and reinitiate this one in a different way. Priesta coming on the flank, but Bance is ready and waiting to be here, potentially to shut him down. Pinch not going to go through, but here comes the Cloud9 players trying to enter in every second, going over toward the side of Splyce. Up to this point, Jerd wins a huge gunfight. And Hotel Hallway, this isn't a money hill. This is where we should be seeing a lot of sporadic time, but Splyce absolutely showing their worth. They are flexing their muscles right now as they have just taken over a 100-second advantage.
Priest, you even playing this game, man? What's going on? You would think that that victory over Evil Geniuses would have him heated up, would have them with the momentum coming into this series, but right now, Splyce is just choking the life out of this team. And of course, you can't take anything away from the Stage 1 playoff champions. These are championship caliber players, and they are showing it right now as they lead Evil Geniuses by 120 seconds. Bance is in a great position with the NV4, acting as the front line and playing off of that information to the rest of his team.
Indeed, communication, the gun skill for sure is coming out to play. Jerd, Bance responding for a few, almost like they do it on the daily, as Bance absolutely starting to light things up. 13-9 on a 4-spree. Jerd 15-8, actually just recently dies due to the nice nade coming in from Assault, but this one is starting to get out of hand. 40 more seconds needed for the side of Splyce to close out this game, and it looks like the side of Cloud9 just need 40 more points just to get closer to that 100-point mark. Honestly, in your opinion, Fox, what does Cloud9 need to do to kind of bring this one back? I know it's not even looking like it's possible, but what do they have to do?
It's really just looking like they're losing crucial gunfights. You see that right there. He gets turned on and just taken down so easily. Splyce is just outgunning them. Jerd was doing it alone at first. That we see Zero sort of coming right back into this game with his KD, and it's just enough for Splyce to come out on top here.
When you're down to the top 4 teams, you should not even be seeing stuff like this. Jerd on a 4-spree, potential 100-point club in our midst. Only 20 more seconds needed before this map number 1 does come to a close. We'll see if the side of Cloud9 can try and bait something. Assault finding to Zero with the NV4 toward the back, shuts down Exotic. And just like that, we'll see if Cloud9 can start to enter in. Here comes the push. 25 seconds left on Lower Street, as Cloud9 are going to need to play nearly perfect if they want to at least get closer toward this game, get closer toward that 100 and 200 second mark. X locking down the remaining time inside of Lower Street, but it is going to be the side of Splyce. One player toward the back near that bike street. Definitely disrupt the setup. That's actually going to be Zero. Waiting here, needs to shut down X, able to make that one happen. Nice win for him. No more time for Cloud9. The rotation comes in. We'll see if Cloud9 can try and break this setup.
We've seen something similar to this in the past where Cloud9 actually had a massive lead in a hardpoint on this very same map and let it slip. I think it was by more than 100 seconds, something like that. But we're seeing Splyce just with a commanding lead and a good position to close it out. And maybe it's just Cloud9 having a weakness on this map. I'm not entirely sure, but here it is. Splyce is on the offense. They open up with 2 kills. And again, only Assault is able to find crucial engagements that they need to keep the objective.
Cloud9, you're starting to get some positives here and there, but it's just not looking likely anymore at this point.
Assault is holding down Fort by himself here, Landon.
Indeed he is. Him and Exotic on a combined streak of 6. 20 seconds left inside of Cathedral. Of course, Cloud9 trying to capture every single point, every single second that they can, but here comes the last push coming in from the side of Splyce. Assault is here. He'll find both of those. 5-spree for him, but they've got to get the rotation going. Nobody is here in Destroyed Building, and it looks like it is going to be the side of Jerd, currently holding down inside of mid-lobby. Shuts down one. Currently looking as he's nearly double positive. Rotation comes in, and Zero is here. Can anybody from Cloud9 enter in is the question. Yes, one gets through, but Zero's there to shut him down. The side of Splyce is looking greater and greater. Only a few more seconds left, and that's going to do it. Splyce takes game number 1 at 250 to 159.
Splyce bullied Cloud9 all throughout map 1. Priesta could not fire back onto the roster. Outside of those opening engagements, he was getting caught on flanks. There was just not much that could be done from many of the players on the side of Cloud9. We saw some crucial kills out of Exotic from time to time, more so from Assault. They were both working together very well when they were on Cathedral, but it just wasn't enough to keep them in the game. And we see Splyce just outclassing them that map. That was brutal.
Yeah, I think we could say Splyce outclassing them, and then in quotes, Jerd, 21-11 to finish off that first map. The man was absolutely starting to destroy with that K-bar. Of course, we did talk about the beginning of that game, MV4s to K-bar. 3 MV4s, 1 K-bar set up for, of course, the side of Splyce. I asked you, would it work out for them? You said yes, and it clearly does. The K-bar and the MV4s rating true when it came down toward the side of Splyce, as we can obviously take a look at what is going to be our next map.
Breakout Search and Destroy is going to be our next map. This is one of the newer maps in the Search and Destroy lineup. We're seeing it quite a bit more this weekend throughout the tournament than we got to throughout these Stage 1 playoffs and such. But these teams have had ample time to look over it, theory craft some ideas and strategies going into it. So I do look forward to seeing how this comes about. I don't think the Cloud9 is out of it just yet. I think that if they lose this map, they're definitely out of it because I don't see Splyce dropping an uplink to them. However, this map could go either way.
I definitely agree with that. Like I said, Breakout Search and Destroy, of course, one of the newer maps added to the CWL rotation. And, we've obviously seen a number of different plays, teams having success, teams not having success due to the overall play rate that they've had of it coming into this particular tournament. So, and we also have to mention as well, new Cloud9 guys. How have these guys kind of adapted? How is the chemistry working for them when it comes into Search and Destroy? A lot of additives kind of coming into this. And what I was actually able to witness in that Search and Destroy that Cloud9 recently played versus Evil Geniuses, that came down to that came down to a round 11, Got game 5s in my mind. I would love to see a game 5. However, came down to a round 11. And honestly, Cloud9 wasn't looking that great. They nearly actually choked a lead toward the side of Evil Geniuses as well. So this isn't really necessarily a mode that they feel the most comfortable in, I think, coming into this. So I don't know. I think I got to go with Splyce on this one.
Well, while we're getting these players settled for map number 2, let's take a look at the box score from that hard point. We saw that Splyce kind of ran away with it, as you can see there on the broken hard point is where they got a lot of their time. It wasn't until later on in the game where Cloud9 was able to have the combination of Assault and Exotic contribute and mount up a decent amount of time on the Graveyard Hill. But still, with Splyce having such a massive advantage on 2 other hills on this map, one being Hallway where it shouldn't have been that big of a deficit,
wow, man,
you can see why they took over that map.
Yeah, that's absolutely absurd. Hallway, that should be a contest-heavy hill in Cloud9. You only get 1 second on that one.
Oh, Landon.
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
You see what I see next to Jerd's name?
I do see that.
You see that KD right there?
I do see that. That is a 1.91. That is 21-11, my friend.
That's a whole lot of kills and a very little amount of deaths.
That is indeed. Nice place, obviously, coming from Jerd. And honestly, I was taking a look at the final scorecard there at the end of the map to take a look at every single player. I think there was like Mad Cat, who was like, I think only had like a few engagements. Like, he didn't really have to do too much throughout that entire map. It was almost like the Jerd show.
Mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, hey guys, is that okay? That angle is held. Is this okay? This one's held too. All right, cool. I'm just gonna stay back here. I'm just gonna do my job. I have nothing to worry about. So that's just kind of how it goes when you got teammates like that, like Zero, like Benson, like Jerd. These guys can absolutely slay with the best, and it leaves a lot of free time for you kind of just to twiddle your thumbs and what's going on. I don't
there
know.
were some moments though where he was able to provide a great supporting role, especially when we were down towards the bike shop hill on Lower Street. He was providing some great support for Bance, who was sitting inside the hardpoint with his NV4, and we mentioned just how crucial those NV4s were as zoning tools to allow Jerd to get aggressive and really be that frontline type player. So now we're loading into Search and Destroy on Breakout here, guys. Again, this is an elimination match between 2 incredibly strong teams this weekend in the tournament. 16,000 differential in dollars that they win if they can get past this stage of the tournament. Top 3 moving on to top 2 in the grand finals. Let's see how it goes as Cloud9 is on the offensive.
They will Assault with that bomb in his hands. It looks like Cloud9 tries to make their way here over toward B. Well, if anything, Splyce is ready. Jerd with a nice little line set currently. It was looking over top on Medbay. E-Rad shots, just trying to zone out the players from Cloud9. First blood, one play, very influential. Assault nearly getting out of that window, but Jerd's still holding this angle. So at least going to gain some information, some clouts for his team. Let them know, guys, they're still here. They're still trying to push this one, but the first blood needs to come in, and Zero responds there. Nice sniper rifle shot coming in there from him toward the back lines. as Cloud9 still look to try and engage in a 3 versus 4.
Yeah, this is a help me moment for Jared. He knows he can't really go anywhere without being taken down. Luckily for him, though, Zero is in a great position to cover anyone that might want to challenge him. He'll have a little bit of support. Aches finds the NV4 kill onto Bance, and that goes untraded. Cloud9 getting great map presence around the middle of the map here. They could set up for a flank onto Bance, and that decreases the amount of support that Jared has, despite player 5, Madcap, being just behind him.
And Zero, Jared, both playing different angles, but both being nearly as effective. Madcat responds with one more. Exotic, now the last alive, trying to challenge Zero. Gets up close and personal as he'll shut him down. 1 versus 2 would be a 1 versus 3 if he can clutch this one out. Finds Madcat, but Jared just needs to try and stay alive. Punching his way, realizing that he has just won this round for his squad. Doesn't need to do much. Held that angle very well over top med bay. Gained a lot of information for his teammates, and they were able to finish off the kills.
It's really funny that Jared did a lot by doing nothing.
Exactly.
For a lot of that round.
And that doesn't show up on the scoreboard either.
Right, just understanding the value of his life right there. Jared definitely playing it very smart and comes out of the round with a win without a kill or a death. So great play out of him in round number 1 for Splyce. Now it's Splyce's turn to be on the attacking side. They won the defensive round. Let's see what they decide to do as they work towards showers.
Jared playing passive, but only for a moment, gets very aggressive and shuts down Priest, a player toward the back. It's going to be Aches holding that wall run. Cloud9 still not trying to back up too much, just trying to hold their ground for the most part. Player number 1, Exotic, just around the corner, trying to listen for that potential bomb plant that could come in. Player actually Zero has that sniper rifle still in hand, nearly misses a shot. Nearly finds a shot on Aches. There he is, right between the window. Nice shot there coming in from Zero. Can he find the second? But no, Assault's going to be there at 1 versus 2 now. Another position for a C9 player to clutch. How does Assault try and play this one out? Receiving shots yet again. Bance has picked up that sniper rifle. Trying to tease the likes of Assault a little bit, but not a whole lot of time for Assault. He has to make the way forward. He has to try and clutch this one up for his team. Goes in the wall run, catches Bance off guard, but no, Bance is going to be there. A nice attempt coming in from Assault, but just couldn't do enough. 1 versus 2 ends up in a 0 versus 2 as Cloud9, speaking of that, are now going to be up 2 rounds to 0.
Vance reading that play pretty easily in the 2 versus 1 situation, and just want to give credit to Splyce really quick as they take their 2-0 lead at the start of this S&D. We're seeing this European roster make it to Championship Sunday for 2 major tournaments in a row. That's something you really got to respect them for. So as we move forward here, I want to look to see if Cloud9 can do anything, because in this matchup, they're definitely the underdog. Despite their great performance in the losers bracket, Splyce is typically seen as a much stronger team, and rightfully so, with all the things they've been able to accomplish this past month. First blood to Jared.
Jared finds that one. Bance also relating to communication. The push going inside of B right now. Or side of A, excuse me. Players coming around from that B side. Looks like the side of Cloud9. Trying to challenge from a different angle. Zero. Going to have an opportunity here. Actually has the EMC out, and that's not most likely going to work out for him too well, as he'll also drop it in unison. Madcap finds one. Priesta finds another now. He's left in a 1 versus 2 and 3 rounds straight. A C9 player has been left in a position to clutch when he hasn't had a man count advantage, and we'll see what Priesta can try and do in this particular spot. Seeing shots from Bance, but he'll get team killed. Not team killed, excuse me. Gets double teamed there by the likes of Splyce, as they're now going to be up 3 rounds to 0.
I'm surprised to see Priest slide through the door to chase this kill that he couldn't finish. You would think that you would expect a second Splyce player to be there, but he seemed really eager to finish that first one. And, you know, if you're not looking for individual engagements to try and pick him apart there, you're not going to clutch the round. So Splyce, of course, is going to bite right down on that, play their man advantage, and take him out. Splyce finds himself up 3-0.
3-9 combined for Assault, Aches, and Priesta. 4-2 right now for Exotic. They definitely need to turn it up when it comes down to the slaying. Looks like we're going to see a pretty quick round here. A lot of gunfights starting off already. Exotic, Jared already being involved for their respective squads. 3 versus 3. Both teams holding their angles right now through mid.
They know they have him trapped. They are well aware that he is trapped in that corner and isn't going anywhere. Jared and Madcat with the pinch, pressuring him enough to close out the round. So you see the coordination from Splyce paying off in some major way every single round.
Jared, see what he does here. And the final kill cam finds one. Great use of the FTL jump. That's the definition of what Jared's career has been as a Call of Duty competitive player, pro player as well, is that aggressiveness that he likes to show, constantly being in the face with that E-Round, the only man who hasn't even died in this match. He's currently sitting at 6-0. Got to show him some love. He's also getting close, only 100 points away from some streaks. We'll have to see how the likes of Cloud9 tries to play this, as they are definitely going to be on the back foot, but it looks like they might have some positives for right now, making a correct site choice, making their way here over toward B. We'll see how it works out for them, as it most likely try to get Assault on the bomb right now.
If you're just tuning in, an excellent team effort has brought Splyce up 4-0 in map number 2 of this series. Jerd is reaping most of the benefits from it, as he has yet to die. But a lot of credit definitely needs to be given to the rest of the roster as well, as they're coordinating this beautifully. But now they're set for a retake, and it's a 4 versus 4 retake, as no one from Cloud9 has given up first blood yet.
Zero spawning the back line of Cloud9, referring that one to his teammates, and here come some of the kills. Assault, Jerd, both being involved. Madcat on that bomb right now. Eggs toward the backside, exchanging some shots forward. Jerd continuing to try and rush in some instances. How do the kills go? Zero finds one, Madcap finds another. It's now left up to Eggs in a 1 versus 2, running his way around the take. Can he stay alive? Able to maybe find one, but no, it's not going to be home. And Zero finds that one with the EMC, and Madcat is just going to have enough time to get the defuse off. 5-0 for Splyce, and Cloud9 absolutely not having any response whatsoever.
The pistol dive from Zero onto Aches, and he comes out of it, I think, only being hit one time out of all of that hip fire, to which you got to be fair. The NV4 is a long-range weapon, but still, that close, and you're able to put down that many shots, you got to connect with more than one. Splyce is looking demoralized at this point in time. The only redeeming factor is that we're seeing Exotic has access to the FTL jump, but that's not nearly as impactful as a 7-1 Jerd on the enemy team of Splyce. What can you do here, Landon?
It's a question to be asking right now. I think it's fair to say, what can you do when you've got these guys going off like they are? Bance going to get this bomb down here, but here come some of the streaks. See how this ends up working out. FTL jump, I think, ends up getting rocked. Exotic actually finding 2-0 there with the pistol work as well. 2 versus 3. Man count advantage and a retake needed for the likes of Cloud9 to at least get one round on the board. Of course, it's 1-6. This could be the final round of this map number 2. If Splyce can get their way, but Priesta is here. Jerd now, 1 versus 3. Thankfully, he does have the time on his side, but see how he intends to play this one. E-Red in hand, spots one. Trigger discipline not going to be there just due to the fact of how many players are there, and he will drop. So just like that, that is finally going to be Cloud9 getting a round on the board, as this one's now going to be still in favor of Splyce, but this time 5 rounds to 1.
Cloud9 has to be very happy with Exotic right there. He's the one that opened up that window of opportunity for the team in the face of score streaks. He sees the call on his mini-map that the Trinity rocket is coming down. So he decides to dive in and look for that player that's stuck behind his computer calling in the rockets. He finds a double kill before being taken down by Zero, but that makes the retake that much easier for his team. They have to come through and find a 3 versus 2 engagement rather than what could have been them being outnumbered and outpositioned.
Talk about Exotic, his great play in that last round. He's currently sitting at 7-5 overall. Tied with Jerd for the most kills in the lobby. We'll see how this round does start to play out. Round number 7 coming up. Splyce still with a huge advantage. C9 need to be perfect if they want to take this map number 2. Jerd continuing to hold that angle that we talked about even in the first round. Instances of that. Assault actually able to shut him down with the nice nade. And it looks like it's all going to be left up to Assault. Where are my teammates at? And how can I try and stay alive? 1 versus 3. Assault, you need to play this smart. He's got the bomb in his hands. That's the only positive he's going to have as he gets shut down. And just like that, that's going to be Splyce, who take map number 2 in dominant fashion, winning this search and destroy on Breakout. 6 rounds to Cloud9's 1.
This has to hurt for a lot of the fans at home that are waiting for Aches to just have that shining moment again, right? He comes into Championship Sunday, takes down so many big teams in that loser's bracket run, only to get beaten this badly by Splyce. And yes, we hold Splyce to an incredibly high standard, but this is just brutal for a team that made it to Championship Sunday.
And this just looks like a totally different team as far as Cloud9 is considered from that last series versus EG. Now looking at them versus Splyce, and that's not necessarily due to Cloud9's play. That's just due to the level of competition that gets raised when it comes down to a team like Splyce. I mean, getting this roster together, getting Zero and Bance in the same team, in some cases, kind of like the EU Bash brothers, along with the great slaying of Jerd and the great leadership that Madcat provides. I mean, this is the definition of a European all-star team, and they are performing like it right now, as they're going to be up 2-0. And at this point, Cloud9, I mean, it's just hard to predict what they can do at this point. I mean, it just gets to the point where you see a certain roster who just looks as good as this, and you really don't have an answer as to how to respond. You just got to play your game, I guess.
Right. I mean, they lose those first 2 maps to Splyce, and then they're going up against them what is arguably their best game mode. That's not going to be an easy victory for sure. But guys, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and when we come back, we will find the conclusion of this elimination matchup between Cloud9 and Splyce at Call of Duty World League Anaheim. Stay tuned.
Welcome everyone back for potentially the final time here on the Bravo station. We've currently got a matchup going on between Splyce and Cloud9. Splyce currently leading up 2-0 after a dominant search and destroy victory, Fox. Of course, this next uplink could play differently, but based on our predictions, based on how everything is looking, it is looking to go all in favor of Splyce. But of course, we do have a few players that we need to be looking at heading into this next uplink.
Right, so we can take a look at our key player matchup if you want to see the players you would expect to contribute meaningfully in this series here. We mentioned Priesta quite a bit, one of the newcomers to this Cloud9 roster. Both some pretty impressive stats, definitely noteworthy in the hardpoint, S&D, and uplink. And on the opposite side, we have Mad Cat doing just the same, except he's just a little bit higher in uplink there, and I feel like that has to be part of the reason of Splyce's dominance in that game mode. So, in this G Fuel key player matchup, let's look to see Priesta wake up in this uplink here, because he has been slacking in both the hardpoint and search and destroy, and I have to imagine that that's what Cloud9 has had to bring them this far in the tournament. As far as Mad Cat, him and the rest of the Splyce roster just needs to continue doing what they're doing, and this should be a swift 3-0.
Yeah, this is what we talked about, honestly, with a lot of the Cloud9 players, is that the addition of both Priesta and Exotic was to try and provide more firepower to this team, to try and kind of align themselves along with Eggs to try and get a better team along with him. So with that, it seems that he really wasn't able to show up versus the amount of Slayers that Splyce does provide. So I don't know. We definitely need to see a big performance. I definitely agree with you on that. Priest, and to me, also Exotic needs to show up big if we expect to see Cloud9 at least force in map number 4.
Yeah, and if we look at the Splyce roster, I mean, these guys easily match up so well against North American teams. They're an excellent international roster, and picking up 0 only pushed them over that edge into championship caliber players. So, well, a championship caliber roster. Let's take a look at the box score for Breakout Search and Destroy here. Jerd putting up the most noteworthy performance out of everyone in the lobby, opening up the first round without any interactions whatsoever. He was able to clutch it up and win in the end, and then he just continued to body everyone from Cloud9 in front of him throughout the map. Look at that score line. Cloud9 got 1 round just before Splyce closed it out.
Yeah, it was just definitely not looking good. It was a 5-0 start for the guys on Splyce, and C9 just nearly able to get at least one of those rounds. But of course, we do talk about Exotic. Did have a decent performance when it comes down to his lineup. 7 and 6, 1.17 overall KD for his lineup. But in the end, obviously not enough. And didn't really lead to a whole lot of rounds if you are the boys on Cloud9. So if you are Aches right now, of course, you've got 3 younger guys with you. Of course, Assault competing since Advanced Warfare, but more recently, Exotic and Priest are kind of coming up in the competitive scene. What does Ix say to his teammates at this point? How does the communication go? How does he act as that leader in some cases coming into this map when their backs are against the wall? It's happened quite a bit so far throughout the losers bracket. They know they can do it. It's just versus this, I don't want to kind of put, organizations in past, but the final boss that Splyce currently is, I don't know, man. I don't know what he can say to kind of bring his team back when the slaying power just has to be there.
I would imagine that right now, this is where you see one of the values of Aches really shine, is that he knows how to talk to his teammates in tournament situations when they're down. Not so well in practice where he's, a little bit more hard-headed, a little bit more aggressive. It's these moments where he understands how delicate, a player's mind might be, especially the new up-and-coming players. So this is just a situation where he tells them, let's calm down, complete the reverse sweep. We didn't come this far just to get blown out like this. And they just really got to do what should be an incredibly difficult task for a lot of the teams that are even still in this tournament.
Absolutely. Of course, let's kind of focus our attention toward this next map. Exactly what the motivational speeches of Aches are kind of being is will be left up, and we'll obviously see how the gameplay does add on to that once we get into the lobby. But it is going to be uplink on Precinct. If we know anything about this map, expect to see a lot of MV4 play as well. But we did talk about the major performers from Cloud9 that need to kind of show up. Who are we going to be looking at from Splyce? Because I know we're going to see a dominant performance, but who is that going to be from, you think?
One of our 2 key player matchups that we saw was Mad Cat, and that's someone that contributes in respawn game mode time and time again. On the side of Cloud9, though, I feel like if Priest can wake up here, that his aggression, his pressure will be enough to let the rest of Cloud9 play around him and at least put some points on the board. But still, Mad Cat, I think, is going to be more than enough for Splyce to just close it out here. We'll have to see how it goes.
Indeed, we will. So as the players get ready to load up in the lobby for potentially the final time in this series, can Cloud9 bring it back to at least force and map number 4, or will Splyce close it out is the question. I mean, we can kind of go over predictions. I think we both know what we're going to say. I'm personally going probably Splyce to close this one out in a 3-0 fashion. I think we're going to see a pretty dominant victory when it comes down to this uplink. What do you think? And what do you think is going to happen?
Is there any reason to vote against Splyce here in this uplink? I mean, the writing's on the wall. They bodied them in both the hardpoint and the search and destroy. Jerd seems like he's just having the time of his life every engagement he finds, winning so many gun engagements that are just one-sided in every regard. And I mean, Cloud9 just doesn't look like they're ready to shoot back, especially with Priest underperforming the way he is. I just don't see much of a chance on the side of the blue players.
We talked about Priest that needs to show up. We're going to hop on board with him to start off this first half of some uplink. Priest making his way early on into this middle side. Of course, it's a pretty typical play from the guys on Cloud9's side. Shots being exchanged early on as Exotic finds 2, Assault finding another, and Zero also drops as well. A quick and a very brief forward down for the side of Splyce as it looks like C9 tries to make their way forward. Shots being exchanged from different angles. Looks like a little bit of a team kill coming in there from Exotic on Aches. He's going to realize, I need to pick up the drone. I need to make something happen, forcing that one back here toward that alley. 8 and 6 for the side
Assault
of Cloud9. Aches and Priest are trying to make their way forward, and Assault is able to find 2. Exotic with the play. The dunk comes in from Cloud9. That's all due to the nice bleed blocking coming in from Assault.
Assault right here, leading a lot of what came from that drone play after Exotic team killed Aches. It should have been a lot easier, but thankfully they have a powerful Slayer in the form of Assault, who has established himself as one of the best assault rifle players in Call of Duty over the past 2 years. Now, let's take a look at Splyce as they clear the Cloud9 players out of their base after those 2 points are put on the board, and look to set up an offensive front towards gas station.
Jerd with the drone in his hands. Shots being exchanged
Vance.
from over in construction, and Bance
Oh,
makes
Bance.
quick work of all 4 of them. Jerd going to toss that drone down, says, Bance, you deserve the score, my friend. You found the 4. Here's the 2-point play. A nice and great response coming in from Splyce, but immediately 3 go down. We'll see how Cloud9 actually tries to respond. Offensive play after offensive play. We'll see if Cloud9 can actually try and get a point on the board. Assault now with the drone in his hands. Can they get it forward? Priest being the lead blocker this time, and just like that, Cloud9 respond with a 2-point play of their own.
I thought for sure we were going to see Bance on his 5 streak go towards the objective right there, but them wrapping that drone over away from him, he's completely out of the fight, removing him from all of the engagements, and now he finds himself shut down by a tactical and an assault double kill. We see Cloud9 with 2 points on the board and some map positioning. If they can grab the drone and make something of it, this can be huge, but Assault has been the best escort on the team, and he's the one with the drone in his hands. That's why you see the manual pass come in.
What you do on a 4 spree right now is Assault. Priest was on a 4 spree as well, but here comes the push. Cloud9 not able to make much work of it, and Bance is there, grabbing that drone, coming at a ticket. Player just toward the right of that orange angle is going to be Priesta. Decides to back up, and it looks like you're going to see Bance actually rock potentially a few of the score streaks there. Scorchers coming down, making quick work of Assault. So one of the defensive players from Cloud9 being dropped. Drone being reset as now we're going to see that one be put back in Bance's hand. We saw what he was able to do as a lead blocker. We'll see if he can maybe try to get this 1-point toss off. Here it comes. Can he fire through? And yes, a very difficult toss made to look very easy there from Bance's. Now it's going to be Splyce, who is only down by 1 point.
Sinking the 1-point play right there. This is a much more back and forth uplink match than I expected here. We got Mad Cat in position with the NV4, though. Not much of a response from Cloud9, except the response that they have is going on respawn. The status around here on Statue is not looking good for Cloud9 as Jordan Mad Cat runs straight through it. No one's shooting back. He's just able to do as he pleases. And so Zero's going to take full advantage with these score streaks leading the charge and try and get some points on the board.
Indeed, Bance at least able to find one with those. Here comes the push. Mad Cat ends up getting dropped from behind. Bance is here, but no, he's not able to find the kill with that. Drone now going to be put in Jerd's hands. Needs to try to go for at least a 1-point play. Can he get this one off? But no, the stop is there. Assault is there for the defensive play, and he just needs to escape with that one. And it looks like it will be a successful defensive play. At least able to escape with that one for the time. But 3 go down. We'll see that drone be pushed forward yet again from this China side. Mad Cat now. Drone in his hands. Zero leading the way, and it looks like this is going to be a 2-point play. So a nice rebound, a play made for the guys on Splyce. And if they can maybe get this drone out through middle, this could be another 2-point play.
Cloud9 failed to reset the drone. Instead, they wrapped it towards gas station into the face of a wipe that was incoming from Splyce. And now this puts Splyce in a great position to try and continue that because Mad Cat has Statue and only 1 player in the way. He should be able to win this gunfight should they challenge.
Indeed, able to win that one on Eggs. Player just toward his right, nearly shuts down Assault as well, but thankfully he will hold his life only for just a few more seconds. Priesta now coming off the respawn. 40 seconds left in this first half of Uplink. And Cloud9 definitely has held their own for right now. Priesta, +1, 10-9 right now. Quite a few engagements for him, but on the other side, the side of Splyce now trying to get the objective move forward. They all fall. 3 go down. Zero still holding this angle near stairs. X will shut him down there in the end. So with that, 20 seconds left to work with. We'll see if Splyce can try and get a buzzer beater off. It's going to be Jerd now with that drone in his hands, making his way here toward that side construction. Has a few lead blockers to kind of guide the way, but he'll also drop. Player now, Zero. Drone in his hands. Can he make a play happen? Here comes the toss. Is that one good? Yes! A great scoring opportunity there from Splyce at the end as Zero nails in the buzzer beater, as that's now going to be Splyce at the half, up 6 points.
Yeah, this is still looking pretty good for the side of Cloud9. The fact that they're keeping up this much against such a strong uplink team has to be pretty impressive to them as they get into the second half. I think this is a very winnable game for them. I'm feeling much more inclined to give them the win here than I was before this game started. But still, I think that Splyce is going to remain consistent, and they should be able to pour it on and increase that deficit as the sides switch.
As we also take a look at that payload progression, Mad Cat, we talked about him being our G Fuel key player front the side of Splyce. Very close to that overdrive. A very major payload when it comes down to uplink. Holding a nice side angle there for the guys on Splyce to try to make that push forward. Bance actually escapes past 1 player. Here comes the drone, potential toss, and yes, that one flies through pretty quick. An early scoring opportunity in this second half coming in from Splyce as they're now going to be up 3 points.
Clear out the base, but Jerd still has Statue positioning. He's still going to be outnumbered by 2 players that have a height advantage, so as soon as he pushes up, you can expect Exotic to win that gunfight every single time. And now, Cloud9 is awarded Statue and L-Wall control. As you see Mad Cat cowering in the corner because he knows that he can't challenge alone. Aches catches him, though, before he can get away and regroup with Splyce. Bance and Zero try to respond. Assault is doing assault things with the NV4 before Jerd promptly responds.
A lot of early aggression coming in toward the second half. 4 minutes remain, and potentially the last 4 minutes of Cloud9's life when it comes down to CWL Anaheim. 3 go down for Splyce. Jerd now the last alive after Priest's nice 2-piece. Exotic as well on a 2-piece, or excuse me, on a 2-spree. Both the young guns doing exactly what they need to. We'll see if this can maybe turn into a scoring opportunity from the guys on Cloud9. It should be at least a 1-point toss. Not unless Zero has anything to say about it, but the nice 1-point score will come in there from Assault. Granted, all 4 will drop, but it's a worthy exchange because the scoring opportunity will come from it. Now only a 1-possession, 2-point game in favor still of Splyce.
Cloud9 fans, you can exhale. They're looking much better in this map than they did in the first 2. Even though Splyce is so dominant in this game mode and respawns in general, they might be able to put up a fight and take a map here. They're slaying so well. Priest has finally come online. He's 15 and 15, but I think that he's had much more impactful kills so far in this map. Now, we see Zero, Bance, and Mad Cat trying to make some moves up the middle of the street. This is where they've gotten a lot of their points this half.
And here comes Zero just above, and a beautiful dunk coming in yet again for Splyce, as they're now going to take another 2-point play by a nice front coming in from the great slaying as well added on to that. The great teamwork coming in is actually Jerd going to spot all 3 coming in from that side street. He's going to call that one out to his teammates. 2 drop, now make it 3 drop. Here comes FTL jump, and Jerd continues to destroy, as that's now going to be a 4-spree for him, a 5-spree, along with a 2-point play for Bance. A number of different numbers going in Splyce's way, but the most important one is the fact that they are now up 6 points. Mad Cat trying to increase that one. Here comes the overdrive, the 7th-spree for Bance. Everything looking good for Splyce,
How
along
does this
with the
happen?
kill as well. Mad Cat finds that one, and now it's 13-5 in favor of Splyce.
The moment that things are looking okay, Cloud9 is looking competitive, all of Splyce just mounts these ridiculous kill streaks and chaining in those dunks over and over again, burying the Cloud9 efforts here in this uplink. Zero looking to force the issue as Assault is trapped in this corner by himself, and this is looking scary. It's crazy what can happen in around 45 seconds to a minute with this Splyce roster.
A matter of moments, you can see what this European squad can do. Mad Cat, yet again, making his way with the drone. 1 player right in front of him, Zero. Of course, you can see 7-spree for him. They're going to give that drone to Jerd because he'll put in the 2-point play just when he needs to. Zero rocking the reactive armor. He's got some streaks. He's on an 8-spree. We have to stay on board with him off of the streak usage. He'll find 2. Mad Cat finds the 3rd. Bance now with the drone. He has active camo, but he might not even need it for this play. 17-5. In a matter of moments, this Splyce roster can come alive. This is exactly what makes them one of the best teams in the world, as they are now only a minute and 9 seconds away from closing out this series in a hot 3-0.
A white flag is waving from the Cloud9 side. This is not looking good at all. 12 points in around a minute. It's not going to happen.
Bance.
There goes another play. This is just, it started off so well for Cloud9.
At the beginning of this half, it's like, this is doable for Cloud9. I want to see how many points
it wasn't looking
Splyce
great. They were still
got.
losing, but it looked like they stood a chance. More so than the first 2 maps, and we're just seeing, we're just going to watch Cloud9 increase that scoreline over and over again, pad those stats in the kill column as if they already needed, as if they even need to do it more.
This is absolute destruction, an incredible sequence of kills, a number of different streaks. The numbers definitely in favor of Splyce, but the most important number is the fact that they are now going to be in full control of this map, winning this one at least 18-5. I'm not even sure if they'll even add on more to this. Jerd is not happy with 18. He wants at least 20 points. Here comes the final scoring opportunity. Will it go in? And no, but that's okay. It's totally fine, as we're going to see Splyce come out with the 3-0 victory over the likes of Cloud9 as Splyce continue to stay alive.
Splyce, once again, bodies Cloud9 in the end scoreline. That was over after the first half ended. I thought for sure that Cloud9 was going to make it competitive as they were able to keep up a little bit with what Splyce was doing. And in the end, Splyce just buried them and crushed them. And now they move on to their next opponent. And it looks to be Epsilon. LG was able to 3-0 Epsilon, and they're going to be meeting them for what looks like a little bit of a rematch from what we saw at CWL Birmingham.
Yeah, rematch of CWL Birmingham, as well as also a rematch coming from this tournament as well. Of course, already faced off against each other, but you got to imagine Splyce having a load of confidence coming from this matchup versus Cloud9. We're going to take a quick look here at the final ending scorecard here from our Bravo station. Of course, Splyce taking out Cloud9 in a 3-0 fashion, winning that retaliation hardpoint, 250 to 159. Breakout search and destroy, another dominant win. They win that one at 6 rounds to 1, and in the uplink, out of nowhere came a number of different kills, a number of different streaks, and they closed that one out 18-5, an overall dominant series from the guys over on Splyce.
Yeah, that was just not close at any point in time up until the first half of Uplink, where Splyce just ran away with the game. So excellent roster coming from Europe here under the Splyce organization. Look for them to do some damage over the next few hours in this tournament on Championship Sunday. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Call of Duty World League Anaheim. This has been Fox and Landon. Make sure you tune into the Alpha stream where you can catch the remainder of the action and see how this excellent tournament concludes. Thank you very much and have a great day.